So welcome, folks. I thought that today, because many of you have questions about Spinnergenics, you might have heard me talking about it, that I would actually introduce you to the founders and the creators of this incredible program. Today, because many of you have questions about Spinnergenics, you might have heard me talking about it, that I would actually introduce you to the founders and the creators of this incredible program. Thank you for answering some of these questions, because it's so much easier to put this stuff on a recording and then actually just send a link out to someone. So if you are watching this, you probably inquired about this amazing service. So I'm just going to get started, ask a few questions, and you will hear live from the creators about this amazing program. What is Spinnergenics?
Ooh. So Spinnergenics is a method for creating marketing strategies for companies that utilizes creative thinking skills as well as the intellectual capital of more people than just those who are sitting in a marketing department. So it's an interactive process facilitated by Veronica and I, where we extract all the information that is needed to be able to create a marketing strategy that actually connects to the way that the people who work for the company think and feel about the product or the service, and how that then connects to the client or the customer.
A revolutionary, bringing in other people than just the marketing people. So how did you decide to create this program, and why?
I will, should I get this one?
Yeah.
It's very funny because we met for a coffee, was it like 2 years ago? And we were discussing about what I do, what David is doing. And the first thing that he said is creativity is the base of everything, including strategy, what I'm doing. And the first reaction to this was, no, actually what I do is quite strict, quite planning. It's not necessarily a creative process, but after thinking better about it, I realized it's very creative. And what I'm doing, I'm just connecting the dots of different elements. So I would say this was the starting point of what we are doing, because from here we continue having a lot of coffees and talking about it and creating. And we realize we were not I'm not the only one thinking like that. Actually, the majority of my clients think the same. And looking deeper in how big companies are structured and how do they work, we identify that they too tend to be working in silos, each department with his own goals or its own goals and its own agendas. However, all of them need to be combined in order to be able to better serve the company. And taking all these random elements and putting them together, we realized we can combine creativity with productivity, with the putting together different elements and different departments of the company and helping them work together towards the same goal.
If you read any article anywhere on Forbes, they will tell you that creativity is one of the top 3 skills for the future. And as Veronica said, most people don't feel like they're creative and that they're not capable of creative thought. If you put that in a marketing context, that's quite an alarming train of thought. So what tends to happen is you have the creatives sitting in the marketing department who are kind of tasked with coming up with everything, but they don't really know what it's like on the work floor or out there in the world facing the client. And so this kind of disconnect occurs where what's happening on the creative side in the marketing department isn't really connected to the goals or the realities of the business itself. And we realized that actually between the two of us, we had a way of joining those dots and therefore coming up with a strategy that was more likely to succeed than the more isolated versions that probably emerge from a lot of marketing departments at the moment.
If you have a process, what is it?
Basically, we start off with assembling the dots, which is basically interrogating the business and with the people in the room, figuring out what it is that we're actually here to do. And then it's a process of then using the intellectual capital of the diverse people in the room to envisage a road ahead. Where do we need to go? What is the message that we need to build? And we brainstorm that, we extract that together with the people from the client in order to get to a stage where we have a very clear idea of what the strategy needs to be. And once those interactive elements have taken place, it goes over to Veronica, who then builds an actual strategy around the concepts and the intellectual property that we've generated during the interactive sessions.
Also, what we incorporate in our methodology is to make sure people take ownership over it, because a lot of marketing agency will gonna go there and create the perfect marketing strategy, the perfect creatives, everything is top notch. However, that strategy is not working because people don't take ownership of it. They don't really implement it. So this is a real issue, and we gave it quite a lot of thought. How can we, after we extract of the knowledge, after we create the strategy, how can we make sure it's implemented and produces results? So in the workshops that we created, that David just mentioned, and also in the follow-up work that we have, we implemented different techniques to make sure that is happening.
Veronica, what is your superpower?
Connecting the dots.
Okay, David, how about you?
Yeah, she stole mine. Yeah, I think my superpower is definitely an ability to, on the fly, take in quite a lot of information and then extrapolate to previously unanticipated conclusions.
What one word sums up your collective superpower?
Connection.
I wanted to say connectivity, but it's the same thing.
How does Spinnergenics cut through the noise we're all so distracted by today?
We are going back to basics. We are going back to roots. Why are you there? Who are you serving? What's your purpose? And how do you connect all of this?
Do you have fundamental core values that embody your daily impact on these companies?
I think the bottom line for us, like our core value, is value. You know, all too often consultants come in and they make wonderful things, as Veronica alluded to later, and then they just run off. And we most certainly do not believe in that, which is why we want to bring so many people together in order to co-engineer the solution. And that's also why we offer, once the strategy has actually been put together, a check-in so that people can again take ownership over it. And we also offer a follow-up audit 6 months to a year down the line so we can check if the goals are being met.
I would say maybe a good way to summarize this will be building relationships. That will be between themselves and also with us. And we make a whole organization out of it. So we are helping each other to grow along the side.
It sounds like an amazing program. Describe your ideal client using a fruit or a vegetable.
You can take this one, Veronica.
Oh, that's a good. The first fruit that come to my mind was a cherry, just because it's the season and I love it. Maybe a cabbage or an onion because of the layers that you have. A business is not a simple one like the cherry that I mentioned. However, it has several layers and several dimensions that you need to take into account. It's equally important and has a function there. It's just about how do you bring them together? How do you connect those together?
How does one get started with you folks and Spinnergenics?
You watch this video and then you hit us up for an intake call so that we can discuss your needs and your particular situation further, upon which we will issue you with a quote, basically, Veronica.
If you feel you need to know us better, we do have a page where you can check out how the methodology works, who we are, what people say about us, just get to know each other better. And I think the best way afterwards is to set up a call with us and have us in a virtual room to get to know each other.
Terrific. Thank you both for jumping on with me today and in a very spontaneous way, taking on these questions without having any idea. So just shows a lot about your team and your creativity. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.